Hi, my name is Kendra and I am the History Librarian, and this is just a quick video introduction to doing research at San Francisco State University Library for new and continuing history graduate students.
One of the first things to talk about is the SFSU library versus the UC Berkeley library, because a lot of you may be already going over to UC Berkeley to do your research or may feel like you need to go over to UC Berkeley to do your research. We don't have everything here at SFSU, but we do have a lot. Books, journals, online research databases, primary sources, and most importantly, we have a fabulous interlibrary loan system. So for everything other than original primary sources, we can generally get it for you for free anywhere between 24 hours to a couple of weeks. So you should know you don't have to go over to UC Berkeley to get library material unless you want to. It is good to know about your options for using UC Berkeley's libraries. The most important thing being that you can buy a 6-month library card at a reduced rate since you're a CSU student. The reduced rate is $25, and that lets you check out books. However, it does not get you off-campus access to their research databases. Anybody can walk into their main library, Doe, Moffitt Library, and use their research databases. You don't need a library card. So you only really want to buy a UC Berkeley library card if you'd like to check out books directly from them. Here's a quick shot of the SFSU library website where you can get to all of our different research resources as well as information about the library, getting help, etc. And I just want to talk about a couple of different things that you'll want to know about.
The most important link off of the library website is the link to research help, because that's where you'll find our guides to doing research for specific subjects.
These are guided tours through doing research, and there are 2 really detailed guides that will be very helpful for you for your history research.
The guides are organized by college, so you'll want to look under liberal and creative arts, and there you'll see the 2 key history research guides.
History primary sources and secondary sources. And there are some links to some other guides that may be useful as well. Both guides have a section for graduate students, and it might be worth checking this out. It talks about some of the basics of things you need to do to get set up and get started to use the library, and has links to all of the different information that I'll be talking about in this video. The Secondary Source Research Guide has information on how to find books, journal articles, lots of other types of information, dissertations, etc. In terms of finding books, there are 2 main resources you'll want to know about. The SFSU Library Catalog, which lets you search the books that we have here in our library, and Link Plus, which is a free system that lets you borrow books from over 30 different California libraries. It's a great system. The books come within 3 to 5 days and are delivered here to the SFSU library for you to check out. The Journal Articles tab has a lot of different information on ways to find journal articles, and specifically will link you to the list of all of our different history databases. We have a number of history databases that cover both secondary and primary sources.
And you'll see that they're organized into subcategories based on period, geography, secondary versus primary. So make sure you click through the different subcategories to see all of the options.
I just want to talk really quickly about a couple of different databases to use.
A lot of history students get started by searching JSTOR, but I want to make sure that you understand JSTOR's limitations and that there are actually more comprehensive and therefore more efficient databases for you to search. So for those of you who are fans of JSTOR, this bit's for you. If you imagine that this image shows all of the journals published in history, the problem with JSTOR is that it actually only has access to a small number of these. They are some of the more important journals in history, but the problem is there are many more journals that you just don't have access to. Furthermore, JSTOR is always missing the most recent couple of years of any journal. So other journals and recent issues simply won't come up when you search JSTOR. So it's very important to move beyond JSTOR and use some of the more specialized history databases that are much more comprehensive.
So if you are studying U.S. history, you'll want to search America History and Life. If you're studying non-U.S. history, Historical Abstracts should be your main database. The only exceptions are if you're studying medieval or classical history. Medieval historians will want to search International Medieval Bibliography, and classical historians need to search Année Philologique. In terms of ways to search the different databases, don't worry, I'm not going to go over all the ins and outs right now. Just want to show you a couple examples of some complicated searches. If this kind of searching looks familiar to you, using the asterisk to find different word endings, giving the database options by or, using the different search options like limiting your search to just scholarly journals or searching in a particular historical period. And if you're familiar with the ways to search specific details of an article, most particularly searching by subject, then you're good to go. If any of this stuff doesn't look terribly familiar to you, get in touch with me and I'd be happy to sit down and talk with you for a couple of minutes and show you some advanced search techniques that will really save you a lot of time. In terms of locating primary sources, there is a whole research guide that focuses on that topic.
The guide is organized into different access methods for finding primary sources. If you look at the tab for online primary sources, you can choose the geography and/or time period that you're interested in, and then you'll see a list of the different sources available, both through SFSU libraries and just freely out there on the web. Most of the pages go over how to find different newspapers and magazines first, and then go over other types of sources as well. There's also information on the guide about how to find other historical newspapers and magazines in the library, as well as how to find books with primary sources and government documents.
So I really recommend spending some time going through the different resources on this research guide because we may have research resources that are new to you here at SFSU. The research guide talks about different archival collections here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I just want to talk really quickly about the archival collections we have on campus. On the 4th floor of the library, you'll find the Special Collections and Archives Department, and this is the main hub for all of the different archival collections we have here at SFSU, with one big exception, which I'll talk about in a second. All of the different collections that I'm going to talk about are linked and described on the Primary Source Research Guide. One of those collections is the Labor Archives and Research Center, which is a nationally known collection on the history of labor, focusing specifically on the Bay Area. They have very extensive collections that primarily focus on labor, but you would be surprised at the number of topics that you can research using labor sources. There are a number of collections on the history of San Francisco State University, including the 1968 student strike. The SF Bay Area TV Archives holds news, documentary footage, other types of TV footage focusing on the San Francisco Bay Area. The Archer Collection is a large collection of historic children's material, and the DeBellis Collection focuses on Italian language and culture, everything from ancient Italian history up to the modern era. Again, all of these collections can be accessed from the Special Collections and Archives room on the 4th floor of the library. The one exception is the Sutro Library, which is an independent library housed inside the SFSU Library building on the 5th floor. This is an extensive research library that has really rich collections in a number of areas. Their collections span everything from the 15th to the 20th centuries, and they have particular strengths in Hebraica, Mexican history, Asian history, British history, as well as collections of historic maps, collections that focus on the history of travel and discovery, extensive collections on state and local history, as well as genealogy resources. You can find information about all of these different databases, collections, services, etc. off of the SFSU Library website,
with the most useful link being that one to Research Help, which is where you'll find those guides for doing research in specific subjects. On that page, you'll also find different ways to get help with research, including our instant messaging service, where you can chat live with a librarian. You can come into the library and talk to a librarian at the Research Help Desk, which is located on the library's 1st floor, right near the elevators. But the most important thing to remember is that you can get in touch with me, Kendra, the history librarian, and I would be more than happy to help you out with any aspect of your research projects. Everything from little fiddly problems to giant existential crises. So if you click on a link and it doesn't work, or you're trying to get a book and you can't track it down, I'm happy to help with that. If you're pulling your hair out because you just have no idea where to start whatsoever, I can help with that. And if you've got some complex, crazy, I'm trying to find the historical archives for some crazy organization that only existed in Saskatchewan, whatever, I'm happy to help. just send me an email. That's always the best way to get a hold of me. And we can email back and forth. We can talk on the phone, or we can set up an appointment to get together. Whatever works for you. That's what I'm here for, and I am more than happy to help out.